Hey everyone. So now we are going to focus on NFT trading. So these are non-fungible tokens. And what they are, just as a quick primer, is they are the opposite of what we've mostly been talking about, which have been fungible tokens, right? So like ERC20 for Ethereum or BEP20 for Binance Smart Chain. All of the other token standards are mostly considered fungible. Because they're essentially, they can be substituted between one another, and they're really designed to be that way. They're not particularly unique in any way. But a non-fungible token is an NFT. So think of it as like as an art collection, as a profile picture. So some people have like Bitcoin puppets, right? Some people have other types of NFTs. Most blockchains at this point have NFTs in some capacity, whether or not they're called ordinals on the Bitcoin blockchain or they're called actual NFTs themselves on the Ethereum blockchain. It's the same premise, which is you are taking an image that you own and control. So think of it as like a unique photographic shot that you took using your camera or your video camera. And you want to be able to establish provenance of that particular photo or video. And how you do that is you essentially digitally stamp it and by uploading it to the blockchain. And then anyone will be able to look at that photo and know exactly its provenance, its original roots, and where it came from. And that can't be tampered with. That's what's like incredible about it, is that ultimately you own the rights, and think of it as equivalent of the digital rights management with music and musical artists and illustrators and graphic professionals. They control the rights of that particular digital property. Think of it as digital real estate and digital designs and digital valuable collectibles. And that's why I like to group NFTs within the umbrella of digital assets, because it's something that we invest in and we speculate on. And it's also, we just do it for fun. Like gamers like to use NFTs to represent different components of the game. So it could be a sword in a role-playing game. It could be a basketball. It could be a piece of clothing. It could be any type of collectible item in the game that is worth retaining and preserving just for your own entertainment. And you can see that overall, purely based upon the Google search volume itself, this is on an index of 1 to 100. So 100 means that it's the absolute highest level of popularity. And you could see that NFTs basically hit like close to all-time high around January of 2022. So you are basically hitting the top right here at this around, it was October, November 2021 going into January of 2022. And then now it's pretty significantly lower than it was before. And you can see it relative to the price of Bitcoin and relative to the price of Ethereum. You can see the relationship there. So let's look at the entire sector as a whole. NFT sales means this is how much NFTs have been sold by collection. So Bored Ape Yacht Club is one of the most prominent, well-established ones. CryptoPunks is another established one. Mutant Ape Yacht Club is a derivative of Bored Ape Yacht Club. Azuki is another one that's awesome. They have like Moonbirds, Pudgy Penguins, which has been rising actually in value, as you can see. There's Cool Cats. So there's quite a bit that you can see by collection, and you can see that overall it's cumulatively up and trending to the right as people are participating in it. But it's mostly the crypto community now. There's not much public chatter about NFTs, and it's important to at least carve out a portion of your portfolio towards this asset class, in my opinion. And then here are the main NFT artists. So you can clearly see that this person, Pak, was at 320 million, but Beeple, it was the very pronounced NFT artist that was developing just incredibly timely Adobe Photoshop illustrations of different social events and different events that are significant. And then he would post them on Twitter, and then he sold some some pieces of art, and he got close to $70 million at that particular time, about 3 years ago. So it was pretty incredible. And then there's Snowfro. So these are the most prominent artists at one time or another. And then you have the floor price. So this floor price, you can see that it's actually been, for all intents and purposes, it's mostly held its price, like for the most part. And even if you just look at it more closely, looking at more recent data, it's done relatively well. Like if you had bought, a Bored Ape Yacht Club now, it's down to 40,000. It was well over six figures at its peak. But the CryptoPunks, which are the OG Ethereum 2017 created CryptoPunks collection, it's just like a collector's item. It's memorabilia. It's something that I personally, I love NFTs. I love the entire concept of NFTs with utility that are just beyond just a profile picture or a collector's item. I like to actually have some real life utility. So an example of that would be like special access to a special event, early access to a particular concert, discounted products and merchandise. So those are all different utilities that are, in real life, right? And then the gods is another one that's survived. So what I like to do too is I always like to track what Bitwise is doing. So Bitwise is a huge, think of them as a crypto investment established firm. And they have an NFT index fund. So they created this 3 years ago, and they still have done well because their collections have actually survived, which is, to me, even though it's considerably less than it was at its all-time high, it's survived. So that they include CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Pudgy Penguins, Chromie, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Bazooki. So the main prominent ones have still more or less survived. Which is interesting. So now that we have an overview of what NFTs are, and given you some high-level sector-based statistics on level of interest, popularity, level of demand, the most prominent collections, where do you actually buy them? So the most commonly used marketplaces are Magic Eden. So I'll show you. So this is Blur Marketplace NFT. It's this one. So the three most commonly used NFT marketplaces are OpenSea, Magic Eden, and Blur. And in OpenSea, if you connect your wallet on the right-hand side, you'll see any NFT collections that you actually have. So these are some that we have. So we bought on the base name service. So there's an Ethereum name service, there's a base name service, there's a Solana name service. Think of it as you going to GoDaddy or Namecheap and actually acquiring your own domain that you control, and you control the actual rights of that domain. So think of it as digital intellectual property. So when the base blockchain went and became popular, right when it went into production, we bought investment.base, and then we bought hunter.base, and then vassal.base, and then blockcircle.base. So we also have a few other NFT collections, like from Galaxy, the massive investment firm that works in crypto. We also own like a few different Ethereum name services that we use, which are incredibly powerful because anytime we want to receive payment, we always just say you can send it to blockcircle.eth. And this actual NFT that we control has a snapshot of our social media profile and can have a website attached to it as well, with images and payment addresses across multiple blockchains. So think of that. So somebody could literally retrieve all of that pertinent information about the organization or about yourself from one NFT. And would they know that that is a digital stamp of ownership of that particular domain? So It's really, this is what I mean when I'm referring to NFTs with utility. Like investment.base, this could potentially be worth, 7 figures one day in the future. I mean, I was very happy that we got that really early on. So that's how OpenSea is when you're trying to look at your own collection. But if you go to the main homepage, you would be able to see what's actually trending and what are the top signals. So if you just click stats and then go to the rankings, so this allows you to filter down by categories. So there's art, gaming, profile pictures, domain names, music, and then there's also all the different chains. So the most prominently ones that are being used are like Ethereum, Solana, Polygon. Base is growing steadily, but you can see that you see the collection name, volume, percent change, and floor price. So think of the floor price as a base level of support. So usually you have a floor price and a ceiling price in economics. But in NFTs, they're using floor price as, think of it as the either the last traded price or in this particular case, it's the listed price of the lowest available floor for that particular NFT collection. And usually you'll have a floor price and then you'll have an asking price, right? And an asking price is, or an offer price. So there's the floor price is essentially what the asking price is. And then the offer price, you can consider that to be equivalent to a bid price. It's not exactly the same, but that's more or less how you can interpret it. And then you have the unique percentage of owners. This is really important to be able to track concentration rates. So how many actual unique owners actually control this collection? And then the percent of items listed. So you can see this is why this makes it so spectacularly valuable, is that it's just so difficult to even find CryptoPunks and many of them are not listed just on OpenSea. So a lot of that volume has shifted from OpenSea towards Magic Eden and towards Blur, and I'll walk you through that. So if you go to any actual collection, so let's take in a connection like Pudgy Penguins. So if you go here and then you click analytics, you would be able to go in and select last 90 days. And this essentially gives you data for this particular collection, right? And it gives you the overall historical trend of the floor price. It gives you the volume in the price and the sales. And you can actually see an XY scatter plot, and you can include outliers or remove them. But the way that NFT collections work is they work on rarity characteristics, rarity traits, right? So you'll see here that I have trait Sniper, right? So I use a few different sniping tools to be able to try to collect NFTs that are particularly unique, and I can be notified immediately if there's some NFT that hits the market at an undervalued price based upon their rarity characteristics. So we'll go through that, but ultimately that's how OpenSea works. And you literally, if you want to buy, you just say make collection offer, and you say the best offer is 11.7 ETH. So think of this as what the bid is. And then the floor price is what people are asking for, which is 12.9. So the disparity is what the slippage is. And it's basically, to be able to bridge that gap is the only way that you're going to be able to come up with an actual successful offer that's going to be taken by the seller. And then you can buy multiple and et cetera. So that's how OpenSea works. Very simple. And then once you buy it, you have it in your wallet. The wallets that are compatible with NFTs is the vast majority of them now. So there's MetaMask, there is Phantom, there is Xverse has some capabilities. There's several other wallets, right? But those are really like the most commonly used ones. Also, Ledger has some capabilities for NFT collections and some early minting. And then the way to get NFTs is you have two ways. You can either wait for a new NFT collection to hit the market. And if you do that, then you essentially are going to ideally apply to be whitelisted. And think of whitelisted as being pre-approved for an auction, or pre-approved to be able to access that particular collection and to be able to bid on it at that time for some predefined amount of funds. And then if you are approved and you do mint an NFT, then you actually control the rights to it, and then you can decide whether or not you want to sell it or whether or not you want to be able to just keep it and actually use it to be able to access the application itself, or access the collection, or access special events, or you can sell it on the secondary market. And that's the second way. So the second method to acquire an NFT is via the secondary market, which is accessible using one of these marketplaces. So that's OpenSea. And then they have drops also. So think of this as these are basically new projects that are in the process of being minted or are going to be minted in the future. So this one, Coachella, is actually minting now. You can see it on the Avalanche blockchain. And this was interesting, because they're saying this is a Coachella throwback merchandise truck. We don't know exactly what's in the trunk. It just says it's a unique curation of physical merchandise and mementos. This could be worth $200. It could be worth $10,000. I mean, if it's something particularly unique, but you have to check the legitimacy of it. Is this an actual project that's controlled by Coachella? Is this just a person? Right. So there's a lot of considerations when you're doing your due diligence on NFTs. I would say easily that 95% of tokens that are trading on decentralized exchanges and 95% of NFTs that are trading on centralized or decentralized NFT marketplaces are scams. So I would be extremely careful, always be wary, always be skeptical, and always be reluctant in just pulling the trigger and buying some NFT that seems interesting. So I would just keep an eye on these, keep an eye on the drops, see if there's anything that's particularly intriguing to you. There's always some NFT that's fun, and you'll see it. So that's OpenSea. Magic Eden is essentially the same concept, but the beauty of Magic Eden is it has built-in integration for Bitcoin. So beyond just Ethereum, right, and Polygon and Base, etc., it allows you to actually go and bid on runes. It allows you to access collections of Ordinals. It allows you to actually access launch pads. So we haven't really spoken about launch pads much, but think of them as a platform that allows you to raise capital if you're a project owner or a founder or an entrepreneur. Or as an investor, you're going to try to allocate some capital towards a project in that launch pad. So these used to be tremendously active several years ago, and now they're coming back. So for example, if I go to collections and I want to be able to click Node Monkeys, and what you're doing is you basically are going to connect your wallet, and based upon what you end up deciding to do and what wallet you want to use to connect, you can then connect to, and this is what pops up. So when you connect, you say, yes, I'm connecting. It's going to show you on this particular wallet, I don't have any NFTs. And then you say, yes, I want to confirm. So now I'm connected my wallet to Magic Eden. And if I want to bid or buy anything, then I need to have some Bitcoin, of course. I can also, if I already have Node Monkeys NFTs, right, then I can just sell now immediately. And you'll see that this price is usually slightly lower than the best available floor price that someone else is willing to sell it at. And Magic Eden, I'm sure, is pocketing some differential on the commission there on the landing of that transaction. And then this just allows you to look at it in different views. But really, this is how Magic Eden works, right? And then you can discover new projects, you can mint them, exactly the equivalent of the drops function in OpenSea. And there's so many people in Block Circle that are extremely active in the NFT space. So we have a whole dedicated NFT chat where we show everything that everyone is working on, and we share everything that's particularly interesting to people. Like, this is something that was mentioned recently that I was like, it's just like it's like a meme NFT about some resemblance of a meatball and like actual food, and it's interesting, And then there's this Own the Doge, which think of it as it's a Doge NFT. So they took the original iconic Doge photo and then and digitized it and made it into an actual non-fungible token, and then posted it to the blockchain. And then they fractionalized it to allow many, many people to be able to own it. So they took the Doge NFT, the non-fungible token, and then they created a fungible token equivalent, and then fractionalized all of those tokens and allowed many people to buy it and to be able to speculate on it. And it's done tremendously well at that time, obviously, and now. So that's just, interesting examples. So that's Magic Eden, and then Blur is the same. It's just a competitor. So think of it as a competitor to all these platforms. But what I like to use is OpenSea. I like to use OpenSea Pro, because OpenSea Pro, think of it as an aggregation service. So it actually pulls data in directly from, it allows you to be able to look at where it's being sold across different exchanges. You see this little button here. So this tells you if I were to buy, so let's look at something that's more actually widely available. And then you'd be able to see what's posted on Blur, what's posted on Magic Eden, and what's posted on OpenSea. So, and that's it. And that's really, that's what you're looking to do. So it allows you to be able to see this. So very carefully, you can make an offer once you've connected your wallet. And so let's connect our wallet here and customize the view. That's fine. I've already done all this. And here you go. So now you can make an actual offer on any of the chains you want, on any of the NFT collections you want. And on any, so you see this is pulling it from Blur. So I like OpenSea Pro, but still these are limited. So you'll see that OpenSea, Magic Eden, Blur, these are limited options. Where you really want to spend time, if you're going to be a serious NFT trader or an NFT investor, is on, think of the trading terminals that we went through with trying to execute trades on-chain. So there are trading terminals for NFTs, and the most prominent ones and the ones that are used the most often are like Tensor Trade, and you see them here, right? So Hadeswap, Hyperspace, and then Magic Eden, of course, and then SolArt. But Tensor Trade is it's like the canonical Solana trading terminal that everyone loves. And so let's look at the Mad Lads NFT collection. Just opened it here. And the same concept, you connect your wallet and then you have access to it. And you'll see all of the statistical data that you would ever need to know around the actual collection, around bids, around orders. But these statistics these characteristics is what I was referring to before. So for this particular collection, the rarity statistics or characteristics are mythic, legendary, rare, epic, uncommon. And then if you wanted to actually look at the website, you would be able to look at the website, the Discord, the Twitter, and really all relevant profiles. The beauty of this is that you can sweep the NFTs. So this is what I was referring to before around if you want to buy all of the NFTs that are below, $200 or $500, you can do that. And you can say exactly, I want to buy 10 NFTs and I want to buy them for $953. So you literally just be sweeping the floor and acquiring all 10 at the floor price. So that's one option. Another option is you can buy all 200 on the God mode. I tested this once. It's more complicated than it seems, but basically you would turn this on and then you would buy, you'd buy 200 NFTs at once, but you have to be really determined and have significant conviction in that NFT collection to do that. But you can do it on a really cheap collection if you just want to speculate on something and want to control the lion's share of the actual supply of NFT items. And then look at the traits. So traits are those unique characteristics, right? So and then they also have so traits are like back but this is unique again to this NFT collection. So background, and then they have like clothing. See clothing here, and then you can see it how it says metal, brown jacket, fancy overall, priest, and then you have expression. So are they royal? Are they bubblegum, cheeky, eyes, gender? So all of these are traits. Now, these traits are rolling up into characteristical profiles that make up that NFT collection. So that's how it works. So that is how Tensor Trade works, and you can execute it directly using their platform, and you can actually make your own market as well. Like if you're looking to sell, there are people literally in Block Circle and in other services that are using that are trading actively. Like within my own circle of friends, like there's people who are trading this every day. They buy and sell NFTs on a regular basis, and these are the types of tools that they use, right? So so that's it. So that's an example of one Tensor Trade. Another one is Hyperspace. Hyperspace, I would definitely take a look at it. I've used it in the past, but it also has support for Avalanche and Sui. To me, Tensor Trade does most of what I would need it to do. It's similar to what the trading terminals for Dex Screener that covered most cases, but there are some blockchains that weren't supported at that particular time. So then you have to use some alternative terminals that we went through, right? So especially when you're talking about like Satoshi-based trading and like BRC20 tokens and things. So those are really like the terminals. Now, you have to ask yourself, how can you identify NFTs with unique traits or NFTs with characteristical profiles that have high rarity and a relatively low demand, because either there's a factor of like under marketing or under promoting, or they're just ultimately there's some FUD associated with that particular NFT collection. How can you identify those? How can you actually snipe them? How can you find them early? So what you do to be able to do that is you use different tools to be able to snipe collections. So Trade Sniper used to be one that was extremely effective at doing this, and you saw that in OpenSea. You could see that little Trade Sniper, and it's just an extension. But ultimately, there are other options. So like Sniper.xyz is very powerful, right? So you can literally go in directly into their main homepage, go to any collection that's rising, and then you can filter down to any variable that you would really need. So you say, okay, I only want to look at anything that's posted to Magic Eden. I only want to buy anything that is 100, and I only want to look at these rarities. See? So mythic, legendary, epic, rare, uncommon. And I only want to have, let's say, anybody who's epic. And I can then filter down to using actual trait count, right? So everything is here. And these are the individual traits that roll up into the characteristical profiles that are like the rarity profiles. And that's it. And you're basically in. So once you find something that's particularly interesting, you go and you can buy it. So that's how these work. So there's Trade Sniper, there's Sniper.xyz. Sniper.xyz is what I would focus on. And then there's other marketplaces. Like if you're I used to use Wax blockchain a lot. Like one of the most aggressively growing marketplaces was VeVe. Like this one was by far the best because they had a special unique licensing agreement with Marvel. And they used to do just collectible drops for Spider-Man and for other like very, really popular games. And so I would look at this as well. And then there's also like NFT Hive, which is really, really Wax blockchain oriented. Wax blockchain was created by some very successful business entrepreneurs who I would say had like a good track record, and That's the reason that Wax blockchain did look tremendously well 3 years ago. Now it's sort of relatively slowed down quite a bit. But if you are interested in the Wax blockchain, you can look at NFT Hive. You can look at AtomicHub. I used to use these like every day, and I don't really use them much more anymore. But yeah, that's how those work. Now, if you're looking to actually create an NFT, so it used to be a pretty extensive process, but now there are services that allow you to do that fairly quickly. So one is Launch My NFT. It's very simple. So Launch NFT, you connect your wallet, you go to the main page, and you say, this is the home of NFT creation. And you can go and create your own. And you can say new collection. This is how simple it is. You say, I already have your NFT assets, upload and launch. So, or you can actually go and use pseudo generative AI to go and create an NFT collection that meets your standards, right? So let's say that we sign in and we're going to go in. Look how simple it is. So you say, I want to be able to create a batch about soccer balls, and I want the symbol to be msoccer1. So msoccer, and I want the description to be soccer balls. And you can do compressed NFTs. You can do make sure that they're immutable, reveal them later, freeze the collection. It's just so much. And this, we're literally at step 1 right now, and we're already talking about level of compression and immutability. So you can do all of this and just go through the prompts, right? And then say you want to, store it on a centralized file storage system through Amazon, or do you want to store it on a decentralized file storage system? You have the option to do all of that. You can do royalty splits and have them automatically split the share to these particular addresses that you have. And that's it. So let's say the art name, we'll keep it as 1. And then you can go and drag an image. So you can have an image here where you want to just have your folder attached to this. And then it'll generate some that are interesting. Then you upload the ones that you actually want to go and create an NFT collection with, deploy the code, push it live, and then you have your NFT tokens that are out in circulation that you can build a whole premise around it, right? You can build a narrative around that. So that's literally how simple it is to create an NFT collection. So to me, launchmynft.io is the best. Like, this is literally the service that I personally recommend to others to use, just because it's multi-chain and it's just so dead simple. Like, I just showed it to you in 5 minutes, right? Another NFT service that I definitely want to spend a minute talking about is Arcade. And this is phenomenal. I've been blown away by how professional they've been, and I have never had a problem with borrowing or lending NFTs using Arcade. And I've had so many questions because I was skeptical about it initially, and I went into their Discord and I drilled them with questions, and they answered everything brilliantly. But ultimately, how this works is NFTs, think of them as assets that you really are just locked away, right? You're not actually able to tap into that asset. Think of it as like physical real estate, like a home that you cannot have any form of access to. You can't access any of those assets. They're frozen indefinitely. Now, because it's illiquid. Think of it as a completely illiquid piece of land. So what Arcade has done is they've created a mechanism that allows you to lend the value of your NFT item to someone else who's willing to take a risk and actually access that, access a loan. So that's exactly what you're doing. So you're essentially loaning out your NFT, and in exchange for some type of positive ROI, right? An APR that's greater than what you feel the risk is. of you not being able to actually repay that loan, right? It's as simple as that. So, and the APR is really governed by like the marketplace, and it's governed by supply and demand. But if I want to go in and I want to, let me actually connect. So you'll go in here and now that we're connected, so you say, I want to go in here and I want to, you can borrow. This will show you. So now that we're logged in, it'll actually show you what your, any assets that are borrowed. You'll see them listed here. If you have assets that you potentially want to look at accessing, then you can go in here like CyberCongs. So let's go here, and then you can create an offer. So you say, I want to make an offer, and you can put it, the principal here in USDC or in WETH. And then you say, you set the repayment terms. So you say, I'm going to repay X amount by Y number of days, and here's the APR that I'm considering. Another option is to just look at the actual open offers. And then you create an offer. But the beauty of this is you're actually able to look at the history of each person who's in the marketplace, and you'll see exactly how many times that they're active, how many times they've repaid it, how many times they've actually defaulted on the loan, so that they've been unsuccessful in repaying the terms of the loan. And the beauty of this is I like to just look at what the default rate is for some collections, because it's just interesting. So if I say defaulted, and you can just see, right? So it's like this person, and some of these are, you have to be very careful, right? But let's look at some of these. So this person defaulted. This was back in October 2022. So let's look at some more recent data. Latest. So let's go here. So 19th of March, 5,500, the 30% APR. It wasn't repaid. 425, 8 ETHs, 1 ETH, 4.5 ETH. And you can look at exactly what happened. So somebody lended out their Pudgy Penguins NFT on the Ethereum blockchain, and they did not repay the loan by the 19th of March. And I asked them to, what happens if there's a loan that's not repaid? There is a grace period, but ultimately the NFT gets transferred into the person's wallet, right, directly. And Arcade functions as an escrow, so they're functioning as an intermediary holding service, where they hold the NFT in the same time that they're waiting for repayment. And if the repayment is not made in time, then the person who has not repaid the loan then loses the NFT and loses control of it. But ultimately, the person can regain control of the NFT if they repay it back at any time. So that's a very important thing. And then you can also extend existing loans. So if you have a loan and you're not ready to pay, you can renegotiate a new extended loan. So you're playing with fire here with some of these loans upon loans and over leveraging yourself, and you have to be very careful. But you can see exactly how many people defaulted, who defaulted, how many times have they defaulted in the past. Like, it's interesting. To me, this is very interesting. You can see also who makes a huge amount of money from this. Like now that the market is hotter, you can see that people's conviction in being able to repay rises exponentially, and it doesn't jive with reality, right? So that's why you're seeing things that, it's just interesting. So it's like, let's say overdue. So these are ones that are just about to go into or foreclosure, right? So think of these as properties that are in default status that then go into short sale or that then get into foreclosed, and then they essentially get short sold, or they get offered as part of some type of institutional auction, right? And you can see this, like this is 35 ETH and it's due today. This would be interesting, you know? So then we can actually see the borrower has done it one time, repaid once, has never defaulted. But he's borrowed 238,000, has repaid 113,000, and just needs to pay the interest on it. So, and look at the lender, $25 million that they've lent out. Incredible. And if they don't, if the borrower does not repay the loan, then the lender goes and controls this Azuki 3041. And you can see this. You can literally go into Etherscan and you can see exactly what it did. So whenever there is a loan, it basically mints this particular token, and then it mints another one, and then it transfers it to a vault. Think of the vault as a temporary escrow. Just like if you're trying to buy a house and it goes into escrow by the title agency until both sides settle to the final terms, and then the keys are exchanged, right? So I love Arcade. I think this is something, to me, this is clearly the future. It's basically allowing you to access liquidity of assets that are otherwise unavailable and lack liquidity themselves. So hopefully you find this helpful. And we've gone through quite a bit of material on NFTs, but to me, I don't see them going anywhere. I think they're absolutely the future, and I think we're very, very early. So I hope this is helpful. Thank you.